Live from the Vodafone Gigabit Broadband Studio in Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. The Chief Officer of the South East Community Healthcare has apologised to patients and staff for the overcrowding situation that arose in the Department of Psychiatry at University Hospital Waterford. The Chief Executive of Waterford Council says there needs to be clearer messaging around the region's technological university. And in sport, Ballygunner ease into the last four of the Munster Club Championship following yesterday's win over 6 Mile Bridge. The Chief Officer of the South East Community Healthcare has apologised to patients and staff members for the overcrowding situation that arose in the Department of Psychiatry at University Hospital Waterford over the bank holiday weekend. There were 54 patients in the 44-bed unit, with some sleeping on chairs and the floor. Kate Killeen-White says psychiatric departments are obliged to admit patients in the interests of their own safety.
Demand for our service often exceeds supply, and the reality is that if a patient presents at the Department of Psychiatry in Waterford and following assessment is deemed as requiring acute inpatient care, and we locally have exhausted all options to source a bed outside of the fully occupied ward, we do accept such patients onto the ward in the Department of Psychiatry in Waterford.
She says it was not an acceptable situation.
It's not the way we want to deliver services. It's not the services that we want for the people of Waterford and indeed the South East, and it's certainly not how we wish to deliver services. We do put in place alternative measures to manage at times of full occupancy. We utilise additional bed capacity where we can, both the public and private sector, to alleviate the pressures and concerns presenting, and we increase staffing to manage at times of full occupancy.
Kate Killeen-White says ongoing recruitment is underway to fill vacancies at the department.
We fill our rosters where we can at all times to include agency and overtime. Not ideal, but we do fill the rosters to ensure that there is safe services. I do think it is important to acknowledge and recognise the commitment of the staff in the Department of Psychiatry in Waterford, who manage in this situation on often ongoing basis and who do all they can to ensure the provision of safe quality services to patients.
University Hospital Waterford is one of the worst hospitals in the country today for people on trolleys. The INMO says there's 595 admitted patients nationwide waiting for a bed. University Hospital Galway is the worst hit, with 71 people on trolleys, followed by Cork University Hospital and Letterkenny. UHW is the fifth worst hit, with 44 patients now waiting for a bed. Gardaí investigating the death of an 11-year-old boy in Limerick have launched an appeal for information. A man in his 20s is being questioned after the boy's body was discovered at a house in the Ballynanty area of the city shortly after 7 o'clock yesterday evening. Gardaí now say they want to speak to anyone who was in the Shannabooley Road, Ballynanty or Moy Ross areas between 4 and 7 p.m. yesterday. A post-mortem examination will be carried out today at University Hospital Limerick. The scene remains sealed off. A teenage boy who tried to kill a woman he met online has been handed an 11-year sentence, which will be reviewed after 5 years. The boy was 15 when he attacked the woman and left her for dead at the seafront in Dunleary 2 days before Christmas 2017. Our courts correspondent Frank Graney has this report, which some listeners may find distressing.
The boy pretended he was 19 when he first made contact with the then 25-year-old woman online. They arranged to meet up on December 23rd, 2017, and after suggesting they take a selfie by the water's edge in Dunleary, the court heard he grabbed her from behind and began choking her before attacking her with a knife. He then left her for dead, but she survived by somehow managing to alert some passers-by after she regained consciousness. In constructing a sentence, Mr Justice Michael White said today he took into account what he described as the cold and calculated nature of the premeditated attack that was carried out without empathy. He said the court felt somewhat uneasy passing sentence without certain psychiatric evidence, which was withheld by the boy's parents. He then handed down an 11-year sentence, but ordered for a review to be carried out after 5 years. Frank Graney at the Central Criminal Court.
The Chief Executive of Waterford Council says there needs to be clearer messaging around the region's technological university. Michael Walsh was speaking on proposed amendments to the Regional Spatial and Economic Strategy, which examines growth opportunities for Ireland's cities and large towns. The amendments refer to a multi-campus university spread around Carlow, Wexford, Kilkenny as well as Waterford. However, the Council CEO is concerned about the description.
We're absolutely looking to be a university city. That's very specifically referenced and otherwise in the documents, for sure, and that's a very big ticket item. There is reference in the document to a multi-campus university and things like that, and I think that's something that we need to liaise with the region with, and we need to get a very clear messaging on the university from the region to make it the beast that it needs to be for Waterford and the region.
A Waterford councillor is calling for funding to be made available to upgrade the ice plant in Dunmore East. Sinn Féin's Pat Fitzgerald says the facility breaks down every summer. Some trawlers need up to 10 tonnes of ice and can't go to sea without it. Councillor Fitzgerald says the plant is nearly 30 years old.
There has been ongoing maintenance done on it over the years, and it's got a bit of a revamp there a few years ago, with new compressors and new ice-making equipment. But there's quite a lot of the auxiliary equipment that kind of really needs to be updated. You know, it really needs to be replaced or updated or really serviced, a really good overhaul on it. And it's been breaking down fairly regularly, and it's breaking down at the wrong time in the height of summer, and it's kind of affecting the industry, really, you know.
The CEO of Waterford Distillery is hoping the South Quays will not be ignored when the North Quays is being developed. Millions of euro has been invested into the production of Waterford whisky at the former Guinness Brewery in Mary Street, and over 1 million litres are now maturing at Ballygarran near Waterford Airport. Mark Rainier says their high premium product will be released in phases.
The next step will be to release 3 or 4 farms together to show how much more complex that is. And then the next step will be to have 30 or 40 together, each with its own profile. So you can imagine the layer upon layer upon layer of flavour, which is the complexity we are looking for. So, you know, this is one of the reasons where we didn't rush at it right at the beginning, is getting to understand what we've created, getting to understand what is the esprit of Waterford.
He says some areas of Waterford City need investment.
It's seen better days. You can see the once opulent of the city, the quay. You can see how things have moved on. Business has moved away. You know, it's the old story. It's happened, a lot of places. It would appear to have been slower to come together again. You know, things are obviously happening with the North Quay. You know, let's hope the South Quay starts looking a little bit more, with it. I mean, it looks great at night. I mean, you bring visitors here and you show them, and you go, wow, let's go there. Look at all. It looks really happening play, and there's nothing happening. You know, there's some sort of charity shops and a couple of banks and the odd pub or two.
WLR Sport.
And a very good afternoon, I'm Gavin, Whelan. Starting with Gaelic Games, and Ballygunner eased into the last 4 of the Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship with an emphatic win over 6 Mile Bridge in Clare yesterday. The Gunners prevailing there by 121 to 12 points. Desi Hutchinson getting the goal in the opening half in first half stoppage time following a brilliant solo run by Barry Coughlin as the Gunners led 113 to 7 at half time. Jamie Shanahan did get an early second half point for the home side, but the Waterford champions responded swiftly and continued to dominate in every sector, hitting scores at ease. Porrick Manny chipping in with 10 points there, 9 from placed balls. It's Limerick champions Patrick's Well up next for Dara O'Sullivan's charges. They'll face the Limerick outfit in Welsh Park at 1:45 on Sunday afternoon. Dara O'Sullivan admitted afterwards that they are concerned about Peter Hogan's injury he picked up yesterday. Scored 3 points, of course, in the opening half.
Yeah, Peter's in trouble for next week, obviously. You know what I mean? We have a fabulous, medical team with us, and we'll do everything we can to see where we can go, where we can get him. But you know what I mean? It's going to be a challenge for him. But Peter has that problem with his hamstrings. You know what I mean? At times it goes against him. But look, we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can, patch him up and get him out Sunday. But look at Conor Power. He scored 2 points and he came on. He was a threat, and you know what I mean as well. Like his, this time last year, Speedy was getting goals nearly every game he went out almost at club level, which is a little bit unfortunate that he lost his place at a time when the team kind of got settled. But you see what he done when he came on there today.
Dara said Porrick Manny also picked up a knock late on.
He did, yeah. Again, it's a hamstring. You know what I mean. It's obviously going to be, a challenge as well. You know what I mean. But look, I don't think he pulled it, you know what I mean? But sure, look, we'll have to analyse, we'll do a bit of recovery on it now, and we'll try to get the best treatment we can for him and see how we can get him,
Soccer Next Shamrock Rovers manager Stephen Bradley says yesterday's FAI Cup title success is only the start for his group of players. The Hoops ended a 32-year wait for the Cup, lifting the trophy for a record 25th time, defeating the league champions Dundalk on penalties. Gary O'Neill scored the decisive spot kick in the shootout after Alan Manus had saved from Dan Cleary. It's a first trophy for Rovers since manager Stephen Bradley was appointed in 2016. He says his side showed incredible resilience to get their hands on the Cup, having conceded a late goal to send the game to extra time.
To take in extra time, I thought we did really well to stay in the game for 5 or 10 minutes, because it obviously a hammer blow, but we showed tremendous character and game management to stay in it at that point. And look, I'm so proud of the group. I'm so proud of everything they've done so far, but I think this is only the start for this group,
Glenn Whelan has emerged as an injury concern for the Republic of Ireland manager ahead of the must-win Euro 2020 qualifier against Denmark in 2 weeks. The veteran midfielder is suffering from a hamstring injury. Captain Seamus Coleman is already suspended for the game against the Danes, while goalkeeper Darren Randolph is aiming to recover from a thigh injury. And the Irish women's hockey team are the latest Irish athletes to book their place at the Tokyo Olympics next year. Last year's World Cup runners-up qualified for the 2020 Games with a dramatic penalty shootout victory against Canada in Donnybrook last night. Goalkeeper Aisha McFerrin was the hero, denying Canada with each of their last 3 attempts in the shootout. And we'll be getting further reaction to that from Shirley Moore of the Waterford Hockey Club, who'll be speaking to Matt on this evening's On The Ball. That's the latest on WLR. More at 2.